I've really had it with boomers. I mean, I'd already had it with boomers a long time ago, but it still amazes me how much media real estate they take up. Let's listen to Whoopi Goldberg, who is a multimillionaire and has been a multimillionaire for decades, talk about how actually millennials and Gen Z are just lazy.
Better than their parents did. Every generation. But I'm sorry, if you only want to work 4 hours, it's going to be harder for you to get a house.
Wait, hold on. When did this 4-day work week start? When did this we only work 4 hours a day start? Because last time I checked, housing has been unaffordable for the last 15 years, and people are still working 5 days a week and very long hours. But whatevs, who cares about the facts when you're an entitled senior with an opinion? The dripping condescension, though, like the way that she talks down to the Yutes, as if young people don't know what it's like to work. Young people don't know what it's like to work. No millennial has ever worked. No Gen Zer has ever worked. They get all this money out of nowhere and then they spend it on avocado toast. This elite capitalist propaganda that she's spewing, that somehow millennials and Gen Zers aren't working and they just think they should magically have a house without being able to work, unlike them. Show me the data. Show me the data where Gen Z and millennials aren't working 10-hour fucking days, 5 days a week. But no. In her delusional mind, she thinks that we've got a 4-day work week and you only work 4 hours a day and then we're just whining about not getting a house. The house that hasn't been affordable for the last 15 years.
I feel for everybody that feels this, but I'm sorry. We busted our behinds. We had to bust our behinds because we didn't have the option of going back.
Crisis.
Listen, we had all kinds of stuff.
No, it's true. But the one thing I'd say is millennials are statistically the first generation that's likely to do worse off than their parents.
You know what? That's what they said to us as well. Every generation is told you're going to do worse than your parents. And you know what? People pick it up and they do what they do and they raise themselves.
First of all, no, they didn't. You just made that up. And it's embarrassing that the Republican on the panel is having to point this out. I don't care how you feel about it and your generation. It is a fact, a statistical fact, that millennials are the first generation to have a worse standard of living than their parents. And this old fart fucking talking point of, oh, millennials and Gen Z, they only want to work 4 hours a day, la 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 la, we work so hard. Listen, shit was a lot cheaper back then. College was a lot cheaper back then. The standard of living was higher back then. You could buy a house for like $100,000. That same house today is $1.2 million. But Whoopi Goldberg doesn't understand that. Because not only does she have boomer brain, but she's also been rich for so long and is so incredibly out of touch that she can't understand that millennials and Gen Z can't afford shit. And it's not because they're only working 4 hours. They're only working 4 hours. Are you fucking kidding me? Look at a chart, bro. Look at a chart. Charts show over and over and over again that wages have not kept up with inflation. That the rate of productivity between millennials and Gen Z gets higher and higher and higher, and yet wages remain the same. But go off, because, it doesn't matter what the facts are. You feel a certain way.
Listen,
You can't buy homes in this country.
I'm sorry. When I started out, I couldn't buy a home either. You have to work your way. I'm sorry.
When you started out, how was it with $2?
That is not the first thing that happens when you come out. You got to go out and get a job. This is how you break it down. I know you're young, but here's what it is. You work. And you can afford a house and you go and get one.
I fucking can't with this boomer. You work. You go out and you work. People are working. People are working a lot. This delusional fantasy that all these rich people have, that they think that people just aren't working. They're just sitting around. They're working 1 day a week. They're not. You literally don't know what the fuck you're talking about. When I was young, I couldn't afford a house either. When you were young, houses were $20. This just goes to the entitlement mindset that boomers and all these old farts have, where they think that everything they have was earned, okay? They earned everything they have. They deserve to be multimillionaires and billionaires. Unlike the riffraff young people, unlike the kids, man. They're just lazy. They want something for nothing. That is just bullshit, capitalist, fucking old fart talking points that have no relation to reality. No relationship to reality. People are working longer hours for less pay. People have less health care, but it costs more money. People can't afford to buy a house because the housing market is insanely inflated, and fucking hedge funds and private equity groups go up and buy residential homes and then want to sell it back to people for 5 times the price. But go off again, old people, and tell me about how back in the day when fucking houses cost $80,000 and college was free, how you really worked your way up and it's the youngins that are just entitled. I fucking can't with these people. When are the boomers gonna fuck off? Please, when are the boomers gonna fuck off?